Hello, my name is Michael Wilson. I'm a second year, University of Victoria Bachelor of Commerce student. Today I will be interviewing a faculty member at the University of Victoria's School of Earth and Ocean Sciences. Hello, Mr. Gillett. My name is Michael Wilson. Could you please state your name and spell it for the audience?
My name is Nathan Gillet. My last name is spelled Gillett.
Excellent. What's your profession and where do you work?
So I'm a research scientist at Environment Canada's Canadian Centre for Climate Modelling and Analysis, which is here in Victoria.
Now, you're in such an interesting field. I'm sure everyone would like to know any interesting discoveries you have made about the climate.
Well, I can tell you about a couple of my recent findings. I had a paper out this year which looked at the long-term effects of carbon dioxide on the climate. So it imagined that we continue emitting carbon dioxide until the year 2100 and then stop completely. And you might be surprised to hear that the temperature change persists for many centuries, even after a complete cessation of emissions. So the global average temperature stays almost constant right out for the next 1,000 years. We saw the southern hemisphere continuing to warm up and the northern hemisphere cooling. And we saw a warming of the ocean at depths in the southern hemisphere, which could be important for melting ice shelves and ice sheets, which could have implications for sea level.
Now, obviously the climate crisis is an extremely important issue with our world today. What do you believe to be the greatest climate crisis affecting and facing the world today?
I'll go for rainfall trends. So we've already seen changes in rainfall which have been directly linked to human effects on climate. That was a study from our group which demonstrated that. So in some parts of the world it's getting drier, and in some parts of the world it's getting wetter, and kind of roughly speaking, the dry parts of the world are getting drier and the wet parts of the world are getting wetter. These trends seem to be larger than what the climate models show in the past. Well, the climate models certainly predict that these trends will continue into the future, and there's a potential for them to be larger even than those predicted in the models. So some parts of the world will be getting drier, particularly subtropics of the northern hemisphere, so that's, say, the Mediterranean region, North Africa, and those changes in rainfall will have big implications for agriculture. At the same time, other parts of the world will be getting wetter, and we've also seen an increase in precipitation extremes, which can have implications for flooding. So I think rainfall I would plug for as being the biggest issue.
So what do you find to be the most worrisome or hopeful aspect of climate change in the past few years?
One aspect of climate change which I haven't mentioned yet is sea level. There has been some observations recently in the last decade or so of increasing rates of melting in polar ice caps, particularly acceleration of glaciers in the Antarctic Peninsula and in Greenland. And there's a lot of uncertainty about how those ice sheets are going to evolve in the future, but there's potential there for faster rates of sea level rise than we've seen already.
I think one of the big questions facing some of our youth today and some of the adults who might not be well informed about the environment is, so what? What would make these changes important?
As humans, we're probably interested in effects on society, effects on the economy, but also effects on the environment. I've looked a little bit at some effects of climate change, for example, on forest fire. We've seen an increase in area burnt by forest fire over Canada in response to warming, so we might expect that trend will continue. The most obvious thing is that we expect the climate to continue to get warmer. If we stopped emitting greenhouse gases completely today, the climate would stay the temperature would stay approximately constant, but we're not going to do that. We're bound to continue emitting some greenhouse gases, so we can certainly say that the climate is going to continue to get warmer. Of course, policy choices today will affect how much the climate warms, and like I already said, this will have implications for agriculture, for flooding. There's certainly potential for big impacts there.